Hey, folks, it's Lindsey Hudson with SPS back in the building with another SPS Edge Show. And I got my guys in the building. We got Terry McCord Jr. representing, holding us down. And no, Orlando, he didn't go to a different office. He's not in a different part of his home working. He is a little remote, but way remote. Orlando, are you in Orlando? Where are you at right now, man?
In Orlando for the National AAU Convention. How's everybody doing?
No, we doing good, man. So, the question on everybody's mind is how's the weather?
It's actually cold, not warm enough
Cold.
for me. They're about what, 65 maybe?
65. Hey, man, when you plan a trip to Orlando, you don't be thinking, oh, I can't wait to get to that 65.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So you're down there. So talk about what's happening on a national scale right now. What's the overview with AAU?
Right now, it's just a little bit different this year for the National Convention. It's an election year, so a lot of politicking, a lot of talking about policy. I just left. I just got back here just in time for the podcast, leaving a social media workshop on helping states get their message out about AAU sports. So some very good stuff going on. I got to give a shout out to Cindy Trombley and the Michigan delegation. I received a Lifetime AAU Alumni Award this afternoon.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So thank you. So all that work, all that time and all that work has not gone unnoticed. So thank you.
Say the Amateur Athletic Union of the United States recognized Orlando Watkins as a life member alumni with all the rights, privileges, and obligations thereof. Number 1980. Congratulations to you, brother.
Yeah,
doing big things, man. We happy to have you with all that. So we know, and for our listeners to know that Orlando has been the best plug you will ever find with AAU. Continues to bring great information, do great things. We appreciate you taking time out of that. Speaking of AAU, it's kind of ironic the transition would be talking about these young players, and we went back and forth about Emoni, but he has made a statement that I want to share. We can talk about. I'll go ahead and read it. He says, first and foremost, I would like to praise and thank the Creator who has granted me grace, knowledge, and opportunity to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday. To my parents, thank you for the unwavering support and always standing by my side during the most challenging of times. To all my supporters, friends, fans, and prayer warriors, I would like to thank you for your unconditional love, inspiration, and encouraging words. I will forever be grateful. To my lawyer, Steve Haney, thank you for your diligence and believing in me. You motivated me to keep my head high and continue to look ahead. The crazy thing about living your life on stage is the inability to escape judgment and experience the growing pains of life as a normal adolescent privately. I hold myself accountable for making poor decisions and hope you can forgive me as I grow because this will not be my last mistake. However, a lasting stigma to remind me of the severity of such a mistake. I hope my mistake can inspire others to think before acting. Growth is a lifetime experience. I will harness the value within the lessons and continue to be of service to my community. Emoni Bates. So that is a statement based on Emoni getting the 2 felony charges dropped. I was thinking about this earlier, guys. It's a very unique space being a guy with a sports psychology background. It's all about how do you help athletes, but also being a credentialed media member to be able to have a platform to talk about things. And I guess what I'll take from that entire statement is that one comment about him being accountable, and I can appreciate that. Clearly, this was a well-crafted statement that can try to challenge any kind of scrutiny he will get and people will bring. But I can't do anything but appreciate him saying it. I do like the fact that he did acknowledge that there was a mistake made, and it's nothing to look past. And this is, I guess, what I'm getting at, Orlando, is that what I struggle with internally, and you and I talk about this offline a lot, is if I support you, can I still criticize you? You follow what I'm saying, Terry? Or if I'm criticized, is it possible I can criticize you but also support you? And I feel that that's the case. I just think our community in particular is very, that raises eyebrows. But what I'll say to you, Orlando, and I'll go to you first because you are down there representing AAU, and this young man has been a product of AAU, and it just starting to transition to his college world. What do you think about the statement? Do you think that's going to put things to bed and move on? And, we'll get to this when we talk about the next subject. What do you see as the future for Emoni Bates right now?
Well, I think we all pray that this is the last incident, and, the Emoni Bates discussion pretty much ends. I mean, the apology checks all the boxes. So let's be really upfront about it. Whoever wrote it did a good job. They went down a checklist. Okay, let me check.
What'd you say? Emoni didn't write this on his phone?
You know what? I'm thinking he may have had that sentiment in his head, but I don't think it came out like that.
Yeah, it was well written. It was a professional statement that was well written.
Extremely professional and really checked off, like I said before, checked off all the boxes. And it really spoke the truth. And the statement and that apology that really rang true to me is that, look here, I'm going to make more mistakes. As I'm growing, I'm going to make more mistakes. And I hope that you can, deal with me during that. And that's very open and very honest. And it's very seldom that you hear that in one of those type of statements. I made a mistake and I'm bound to make it again, but it's really part of that growth process. I think we all hope that the young man has a bright future. I think we're all rooting for him. All you can do is wish him the best at this point. So
yeah, we do that. We'll keep an eye out for Eastern Michigan basketball. Terry, what's your take on that? I like what Orlando said. It did definitely check all the boxes. You being closer to Emoni's age when it talks about young people, making mistakes as they, go along in life. We also talked about, that he can't do these things privately. That's another acknowledgement too. What do you think overall about the statement, and where do you see things going for Emoni?
I thought it was a great statement. I think the only thing that I would add to what Orlando said is that, whenever you get placed in a situation, he talked about how his life is being on stage. And so nowadays, younger kids, it seems like the younger they get, the more access they get. I mean, it could be a very powerful thing to be given access to like social media and to be able to consume all this information. But I think there just needs to be a level of discernment and know how to process all of that. And so, yes, you're given access, you're given NIL deals, you're given social media attention, Ball is Life videos. All this attention on you can be great and it can help your brand grow, but it can also deteriorate when you make that mistake. So like with great power comes great responsibility, as they say in Spider-Man. So Uncle Ben. So, so it is a very true statement. And I feel like with him, I know he mentioned that I hope you guys forgive me. I mean, I'll tell you mine straight like this. It doesn't matter. That some people may not forgive you. This may be something that will linger with you forever. And that's fine because you're not playing for them. The people that want to see you change and the people that are in your corner, they matter most in this statement. So like with him saying, I want to do better. I want to bring stuff in the light. I know it takes more than one to hold me accountable. I hold myself accountable in this. So all that language right there shows me that he wants to not only better himself, and then he also wants to make sure that everyone knows that he's sorry. Whether you forgive him or not, that's up to you. But he wants everyone to know that he's fully taking responsibility for this action. And so as long as he followed this up with actions towards what he's saying in this statement, and it was well written to say the least. As long as he follows through with that and continues to bring the best out of himself, man, he's gonna make the people that matter most in his circle proud of him. Because I mean, athletes are gonna make mistakes, but it just matters of how you respond. And my last thing, man, it's just failure is not getting back up. It's not falling down. So if Emoni gets back up and does what he needs to do to continue to push forward and try to make it to the league, which I think he still has a chance to do so. He's got to play the best ball of his life based on all the distractions, but I think he still has that ability to do so. But, man, it just shows, man, he's trying to make a way. He's trying to figure it out. But granted, he's going in the right direction. We got to give the credit, give the kid some credit for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Shout out to Ron Charles. He said, is Emoni base thing, is this the biggest fall from grace ever? He also follows it up by saying he was ranked the highest high school player since LeBron and supposed to have been in the first pick in the draft. What's your expectation for Emoni? You know what I want to do, Ron? I want to hold on that question because after we talk about Bronny, it's not listed on the lineup, but I do want to come back and do a comparison of Bronny and also Emoni, and talk about the things you brought up. Also, he's shouting you out right now. Tell young fella, got to get the hood out of him. I'm sorry, yeah, and that's been the comment that you guys have been making. Talking about watching him, and I can appreciate what will come on the timeline. Like, hey, you got a lot of hood cats that he hanging out with. So you hope that'll be the case. And also, too, Ron, one other thing, too, is that part of his new restrictions, he can only leave the state to travel with the team. So now we're getting this thing like, hey, you got to just stay with the team, man. You got to just stay with the team. And any person from, Ypsilanti or that greater area that's saying, hey, man, why don't you hang out with me? They're going to be a detriment. Shout out to my bro, William Barber. He's tuned in. That's right. He had a great time at the Pistons game last night, but also we were together this weekend for Alpha Phi Alpha's homecoming at Western Michigan University 60th anniversary. Shout out to Bill Barber, my guy. We had a good time, man. It was so good seeing you, brothers, and he's tuned in. I appreciate you supporting the platform, Bill. We're here for you. Let us know anything you're thinking. So, so we're going to kind of do a transition with a goal of having a bigger conversation. And Ron, we're going to get back to your comments. And what I want to talk about now is the new deal that young Bronny got. He's on the cover of Ebony magazine. If you notice in his ear are the new Beats by Dre. He just launched a deal. He has an NI deal with Beats by Dre. It's so ironic because in 2008, his dad was the first person to sign with Beats by Dre. And they had also, I'm surprised they didn't include this in the Redeem Team documentary, but Beats by Dre, LeBron said, look, I'm down, but give me 15 pair of Beats headphones. And you remember, man, y'all remember when the Beats headphones showed up on them guys? We was like, what are those? It was like a pop culture classic right there. But here all this time later, here his son is being involved. I mean, Bronny is doing it. And I guess what we can kind of say is what's interesting about this with Bronny is his father, LeBron James, was, a cautionary tale at one point. A single mother. They had moved so many times before he actually finished school. He ended up going to live with his coach, and so many things could have happened to derail him. But fortunately, he was able to stay the course, and he's become LeBron James. Now, beyond that, now he's a scion of the LeBron James family in the sense that now his son and probably sons and daughter are going to be able to continue to be rich and wealthy. And I guess it shouldn't be any surprise. We see this all happen all the time with white families. You see, this is the daughter of somebody. Perfect example would be Chelsea Clinton. She's somewhere rich. It's like you don't have a rich parent. And then, so what you say, Orlando? Yep, you don't have a rich parent, and then it falls off. So we're seeing that. So the interesting thing for me is I want to be able to acknowledge what's happening with Emoni. Eric Johnson made a comment. This is Boo Man. What's up, Boo Man? He says, the privilege of being Bron's son. His game isn't up to par to call me a hater. I love DJ Wack. You know what? I had to walk it back when Terry, when you made the comment about Bronny a while ago, talking about his recruiting status and what was going on. I don't disagree with you, Eric, and I'm going to go to Orlando in a second and I get Terry. I don't disagree with you at all, but I think it goes to my point I just made. Man, in America, if you're part of a successful family, chances are there's going to be a success to go find you too. Nike, Beats by Dre, they say, hey, this is a good bet. This is a kid we probably don't have to worry about because his dad has been grooming him all this time to take things on. This dude is not caught up in in whatever else is going on. He's on a different level to create generational wealth for his family. So it's a good fit. So I don't disagree with you, Eric, but just tell me your take when we make this comparison, Orlando, with, Bronny James, with the Beats by, it sounds like these are all the deals that Emoni was supposed to get. And I talked to you guys before we went online about the age difference, and Terry, you confirmed they're right within 1 year of each other. But LeBron James on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and now, Emoni Bates on the cover of Sports Illustrated. But the difference is Emoni does not seem to have a very straight path to the success that we all expect. It's not over. It's still more things to see. But what you think about that, Orlando? As I shout out Coach Demetrius Ware. It's Thursday. The gang's back together. That's right, Brother Ware. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's an interesting take and really a comparison to look at. I mean, immediately you can look at LeBron and see that Bronny has all of the facilities and the knowledge and the know-how that LeBron brings. That was I'm drawing blanks already.
That's that jet lag.
That's that jet lag. It's the thing is that Emoni should have had that opportunity. Even if there wasn't any trouble, I really don't think he would have ever had that opportunity because he didn't have a way to that opportunity like Bronny does. I mean,
okay. It was an easier pivot for Bronny compared to Emoni.
Right. He has that guidance. You know, he has a father. And when you talk about the comparison of the environments, the upcoming, and you said it earlier before we started the broadcast, Emoni had that 2-family household where LeBron came up rough and everything else. But the difference is that Emoni's parents didn't come up in that NBA stardom type environment. They don't know the road travel. LeBron does. LeBron has his team there for guidance. Now, if you know his team is on LeBron's payroll, so if he's on LeBron's payroll, they on Bronny's payroll. So you know that, I mean, that's, you know, that.
And then for the last 20 years, when they showed the picture, and I'll get you right now, Terry, when I get these comments, when they showed the picture of young Bronny, like with, you know, LeBron during his first season with Cleveland, that kid don't know that all these NBA people, all these people are already checking for him then. That's when they come up to you and say, I know your father. I know who you are, or don't even worry, it goes like that. My guy Bill Barber says he is LeBron's son, so he gets all that comes with it. A blessing and a curse eventually he will have to live up to. You're right, it is a blessing as a curse because he can get the deals and no problem, but the scrutiny is going to be there, the expectations is going to be there. He's going to lose that privacy. Going back to Brother Ware, Coach Ware, he says successful family members open doors for each other. Absolutely. They want to keep it all in the family. Perfect example, you know, it might be a little off topic, but still, you see Steph Curry screaming last night for his brother-in-law, David Lee. They just hit the game-winning shot at Phoenix, but he's married to his sister. So they keeping it all in the family. Then going back to Eric Booman Johnson, says Emoni's mistake was going back home to me. But you know what? We all said that, but what we talked about a couple of weeks ago is we wonder if he could have gone anywhere else. You know, was there anywhere else he could have gone? And then, Terry, I want to get you, but I do want to go back to Ron's comments. So we'll introduce it again. Is Emoni based the thing biggest fall from grace? I think when you compare it to what LeBron has done, one could argue that, but his story isn't over. And again, Ron also said he was ranked the highest high school player since LeBron supposed to have been the first pick in the draft. What's your expectation? Hell, we only hope that he can just finish college and get a couple dollars playing some basketball, but we'll see, you know.
But Lindsay, let's what is it? I forgot what show it used to be. There's 1,000 stories in the big city. So I mean, the biggest fall from grace. No, there are just thousands of stories of talented people that would surpass Emoni Bates. You know, from the 70s and moving on. You know, we forget the advent of social media. And Terry mentioned it earlier, to have that access. Now it's all in our face. Mm-hmm. But the stories of just great players during the 70s, 80s, that just fizzled. You know, there's thousands of them.
Yeah. Terry, I'm going to get you, but I want to catch these comments so we can make sure you include these as well. Shout out to my guy, Brett Brown. Brett Brown, we go back to early days coming up together in the hood. That's my guy, Brett. I ain't hooped with you in so long, man, but this is one of the benefits of social media. You can always see people and see what's going on. Brett says, what's the difference? You went to Memphis. See, now, Brett, now what you done did is you done brought up something because we was moving in a direction, but you're right. Why couldn't he find success in Memphis? Now you coming back to Eastern. It's like, so I take it that your statement is pretty much saying anything happened. Oh, Brett had a follow-up. Brett said Emoni doesn't have the proper support. His pop still has a street mentality from the stuff I heard. Yeah, okay. I won't argue that. Brett Brown, Lindsay, my man. Did anybody ever wonder if me and Brett was cool? This is my guy right here. Also, too, Coach Ware says, did Mr. Bates chase a team who could have helped him away? Yeah. You know, the best team he could have been at. I mean, that's what it was. And then Bill Barber comes back. William Barber says Emoni made poor decisions. He could have gone anywhere he wanted. He chose EMU? ? How much did his dad factor in that? But what I'll say to that, and I can't confirm, this is only my speculation, and Terry, I'll finally bring you in. I just want to get those comments, is that people was saying, I think people were backing off Emoni. I think after everything happened, and then like we said last week, we saw basically Penny Hardaway get recognized and get, you know, vindicated by getting that contract extension. You know what I'm saying? So they like, you good with me. It just didn't work. So tell me what you're thinking, Terry. As I mentioned Brett's comment, he was still 17 when he left. Yeah, 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 absolutely. What are you thinking,
Yeah.
Terry?
I think the question I want to address was Ron about what are my expectations for Bates. I think coming in when you leave high school early, there's always a lot of question marks on whether or not you'll be able to play at the level. Like it's always going to be a question mark. But I feel like for him, because the way it went, it brings up even more question marks. Now you have the off the court issues, another question mark. So it's like I feel like my expectation for him to finish the years whatever year he feels like his best chance to try and get drafted, he'll leave. But I feel like he's more of like a second round tier guy, late second round, early second round. Depending on the year, he may crack first, depending on his success. But I think right now, I mean, as far as like why couldn't he get it done at Memphis? I just think, man, when you bring a kid in that environment, when they had like upperclassmen, but they were relatively young, so they weren't like Emoni didn't get the opportunities because they were good people in front of him. I just think that new environment, college basketball just takes a lot out of you more than what people think. I mean, every day you're like dedicating your life to that. I'm friends with a couple college athletes, Division I, D2, any level, and they said that, man, it's like signing your life away. I don't know if Emoni Bates knew the kind of commitment he had to make to play Division I basketball. That could be something. I mean, you're used to playing at a high level in college, not really used to struggling. You're naturally taller, shoot the ball really well. You're just shooting over top of cats. So it's like you really don't have to worry about these things that some of the other players did. But hey, I mean, but also, I mean, every kid has their different story. I mean, I'm talking about a kid who's been brought up and talked about being so good, has stuff together. He's going number one. At a certain point, reality hits. Like you have to actually work for this. And so maybe this is a turning point where he gets that. Maybe this was inevitable for him to kind of where he's on that high hill and thought he needed to come back down and humble himself. I don't know. But also I just think too that the LeBron and Bronny, I just think it's a little different because I do know that emotional attraction between Bron and Bronny, as far as like father and son, people want to see that. I mean, they've been talking about father and son since LeBron went back to Cleveland. They were talking about, well, Bronny gets big enough, they'll play with Bronny and Brown will be on the same team. Like even in the Beats commercial, like whenever they were shooting that commercial when him and Bronny are shooting outside, it's like they know, the marketing team knows that people are going to see and want to tune in to how LeBron James Jr. does. And so if he's wearing their stuff, he's in their commercials, no matter what, people are going to go check out his son, no matter what level it is. Because one, you're either going to go and critique him or you're going to go and celebrate him. No matter what, it's a view to them. They're making money off of that. So it doesn't matter. So I feel like in that, they know the investment. They know that the emotional investment that people have in these people, that they're going to want to go check these people out. Rightfully so. I mean, a guy that comes from nothing and builds, a legacy for him and his family. So, I mean, I think it's two different stories where Emoni is trying to get on that larger scale, larger level. I don't know where Mr. Bates's career was at, but I do feel like Emoni Bates was the guy that they kind of catered to kind of bring that family up to that level and that legacy level that they were thinking of.
I got it. We got a lot of comments I want to get before we transition. Hoop Scoop says, why can't we just say Emoni just isn't that good as the hype? So going to Eastern Michigan, it makes him look better because the comp is much easier than that Memphis. So when I think the one person who caused all these problems for Emoni Bates is a guy in the NBA named Kevin Durant. When we start seeing Kevin Durant, a guy of his size with his shooting ability, we automatically said this is the prototype Emoni can follow. Now, Orlando, you did mention some other greats that came, in decades past, but I just always worry about his ability to switch and what the defensive opportunity may be like. Got some people we know showing love. Patricia England, mom said, hello, fellas. Glad to see you all. We're glad to see you too, moms. Yep. Latasha Prince, hey, good morning. Good afternoon. Thank you for always sharing ours. But Bill Barber says it didn't stop Durant, though. Right. I know that's tough. I mean, but can we argue he had a different skill set? I mean, we saw that with how he threw it down. You saw the dunk last night, how he threw it down on those guys and whatnot. But I don't know, man. I think there's more to be said, and we'll keep an eye out. We got a few more things, a few more comments that was made. William makes a good point. Same age, same program. You're right. Okay, so basically what our viewers are saying, fellas, is that they like miss me on these excuses for Emoni. Is what I'm getting.
It's a different maturity. I think maturity is the issue, though, not the same maturity. I think Emoni Bates had to mature. I think Durant coming in from his background was a lot more mature than what Bates was. I mean, I even know that for me, it's like me being a 20-year-old. Not to say that we're different. I mean, there may be things that a different 20-year-old would be better at me than, but I have been told that I'm more mature for my age. So it's a different level of like, okay, this kid is slowly developing, but it's going to develop into something beautiful that we're praying for, that we're hoping for. For me, I could mature my way out of and be untouchable, where I don't want to get coached. I don't want to be like, held accountable. So like it's levels to it. I just think maturity level, I just don't think Emoni Bates was mature enough to leave early. And we were saying that whenever he did, we just didn't feel like he was ready to go.
Yeah. Our brother Aaron Mays says, why are we hyping Bronny so much that he may turn out to be mediocre? He's definitely taking advantage of his last name. Absolutely. Jay-Z repeated a quote one time, said, you want to be underpaid and overhyped or overhyped and underpaid. I may have said it wrong, but so what you say, Orlando? Hey, dude, pay me.
My whole thing is take advantage of it. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's arguing what Aaron is saying about Bronny not being that Bronny should be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I mean, he should be. Nobody's arguing that. And I think we're also saying that what these challenges Emoni has been facing has allowed people to be, scrutinize this game even more, that, you get held in a higher regard. What did Jerry Jones once say? You get in as much trouble based on your talent level. So what, and it's sad to say, but that's the world we live in, right? That, based on your talent level, determine what kind of trouble you get in and how people respond. I just think that the other off-court issues that are distracting people with Emoni is making people scrutinize him even more. Is it right or wrong? Hey, when you get in trouble, people gonna have all eyes on you. Lataj said, I would definitely take advantage of that last name. You're supposed to. We work all our lives to do that. So this is a good topic. It'll be one to come back to. I like the comparison and how we can look at both Bronny and Emoni going forward. Hold on, I got another comment. Well, right now we're talking about getting ready for the season. So with that being said, we'll go to our next topic, and I appreciate everybody. It's going to be NBA tip-off. And this is what we're talking about, man. It was a great tip-off indeed. You had Philly versus Boston. Philly got popped by Boston. And same thing. They talk about that ring ceremony that teams have is always, almost a trap game for them because they get so distracted. But not the case. Not the case. Yeah, your man may have been staring at this ring right here, but he wasn't too distracted to get that W last night. The other night they did really well. So I got a lot of comments talking about NBA tip-off. Y'all guys, give me a second. Appreciate you, Brett. Definitely is a good thing. Another thing too much. What's the next biggest problem? We'll talk about it. Hey, that's a good one. And Bill Barber said too much hype too soon. His game wasn't ready. That's why he chose the MAC conference, and he better dominate or he would be considered a bust. I think that's a good point, Bill, that we just seeing that now. And we'll see what happens really, really soon, because if he don't get together this season, man, he'll probably end up trying to leave again, but we'll see what happens. Latasha screaming Celtics Nation all day long. And Brett says, is Coach Casey the guy for the Pistons? That's a good question, Brett. I thought Coach Casey was going to be on a hot seat a while ago, and obviously I don't want a brother to get fired, but surprisingly they holding on with him because they're just building him into what's going on. And it's funny you say that because Eric Booman comes right behind and says, how does Steve Nash keep his job? Because he's Steve Nash. Patricia England is very fond of Zion. He said he looked terrific. Shout out to Lance's own Jasper Bibbs, who's really got him in shape. Good guy. And all that. He said he should be all right and expect a breakout year from Zion. So with that, Terry, take us into NBA tip-off and what it did for you watching these guys both Tuesday night as well as Wednesday night.
Well, I want to go off the Casey one, and I want to kind of wrap all the questions of what's being asked right now. Dwayne Casey, I think he's the right guy for right now. I don't think he takes him over the hump as far as like much playoff success. In my opinion, I think that Casey's a great player development coach. He's a great developer. Like the way he did with Lowry and DeRozan, the way they won 60 games, and Valanciunas in the middle. I think Casey is a great coach. He's a player's coach. So he loves to cater to the players. loves to make sure that they're comfortable in the system and make sure that they're developing their game. So I guess with time we'll have to tell if they decide to keep him. I think last night was a great showing. I mean, their draft class is already looking to be great. I mean, with Ivy playing the way he played, he just looks electric. So I think Casey, if you give him some time, like Will's saying, you give him some time, you give him the opportunity to like develop these guys, because I do think they have a lot of talent, a young core that will look good in the next couple of years. So, but I think as far as the Nets problem, I think the Nets, man, I think it was just their first game, in my opinion. I think the Nets, although yes, it was the first game, they got a ton of former All-Stars, current All-Stars, but still, I think New Orleans was geared. The Nets' first regular season game, and I'm not making excuses, but it's still the truth. Their first regular season game with that core, it's a different approach to it. The Pelicans, with Zion coming back in, with Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, as far as Zion having a breakout year, I think Zion will do well. He'll shoot the ball really well because of the volume of his shots are in spots that he loves getting to. He's going to get to the basket. He might pull up for a good mid-range jumper. But I feel like with the players around him, with Brandon Ingram scoring the ball the way he does, the way CJ McCollum scores the ball the way he does, Zion may not put up the numbers, but his efficiency and the way he impacts the game defensively will help this team out, because New Orleans Pelicans team is catered to defense. They're going to buy in defensively. And I think they're going to be a top 6 seed. I don't think they're in the play-in. The way that they play hard. They're going to play hard every night. I think that's going to lead to them being a top 6 seed. And the last one I want to, keep it on. I know the Lakers and Warriors. I think the Warriors right now, I was surprised that it wasn't worse, in my opinion. I thought the Lakers were going to get blown out by a lot more based off, the Warriors know how to respond. It's their fourth time for Curry and them, ring night. They know what to do. It's just a game for them with extra splash to it. So, I mean, the Lakers, although they shot horrible from the three-point line, I don't know why they shot that many from the three-point line, but it wasn't a bad display from Russ. It wasn't a bad display from LeBron. Struggled a little bit in the beginning, but he did really well. But, hey, all I'm saying is they got blown out, but the score wasn't as bad as I was expecting. 30-point blowout, in my opinion. It wasn't that. So, I mean, the Lakers, they'll put it together. They're not a good basketball team. They're not good. I mean, we're going to see these struggles. We're going to see them limp. But, hey, all I'm saying is, and y'all can hate on me if you want about the Lakers, but all I got to say –
it ain't me, man. That's a scoop right there.
They're gonna limp their way into the playoffs, probably a playing team. But all I got to say is, man, I'm a Cavs fan. Although we came up short, Donovan Mitchell showed out. If the Raptors didn't take out my guy Garland, man, that's a W in the win column. So all I got to say, man, right now, NBA tip-off this season is highly anticipated. It's going to be a lot of good games, but I was a little upset that Luka didn't close it out at the end. I think that game was for the Mavericks.
They say Luka fat. They say Luka fat.
Hey, but all I got to say is, man, for them to let Damian Lee, and granted, I know Curry's shouting out his boy, but Damian Lee, that's unacceptable right there. Damian Lee, and we got to notice Chris Paul was benched in those last minutes. Chris Paul didn't really finish that game. Chris Paul was on the bench. So
he was recovering from his new commercial where he doing fast walking. You seen his new commercial?
I did see that one. But I mean, right now, I'm just excited that right now that the league is turning out to be what they anticipated for. The Timberwolves look good with Rudy Gobert coming back. The Knicks and Grizzlies game, I saw Coach Ware touch on that. That game was a lot closer than I thought it would be, but I love seeing John Morant shine in those moments because he's a player, man, that just gravitates towards the energy of the ball game. You have players that shy away sometimes, which is really hard to be fans of for me, but it's also really hard to play with. But when you have a guy like with Tyus Jones hitting the big three to put them over and the three to win the game for him, you have a guy that gravitates to the energy, accepts that challenge like Ja does. Man, he's going to win you basketball games, and the team is just going to gravitate towards that energy that he's bringing, and they're going to win a lot of basketball games just by the energy that he brings to the game. So, and I know And last thing I'll say before I kick it back to you, Lindsay, but I know the Lakers, I'm giving them too much hope, but I'm just a guy, man. I want to see more basketball games being played. They played tonight against the Clippers. We'll see how they bounce back. I got the Clippers winning, though, but all I got to say is Lakers, we got to see more basketball games before. I'm not a one guy, and that's all she wrote kind of guy. I got to see more ball games being played, and I guess we'll see because the Clippers are coming on their first game of the year versus LA's second game. So we'll just have to see.
Oh, I appreciate that. It was a lot of comments being made. I want to go back through them. I want to acknowledge my brother, William Barber. He says Ivy has that energy.
He has a motor on him.
We agree, yes. But look, Kenny kind of dropped he gave us one of these drop the mic statements. Who can be the healthy warrior team, Orlando? I mean, when you see that alone and you think about what they've done, they've won, 4 championships in 8 years, been in 6 finals. I mean, and the word of the day I was going to have, Orlando, when we were talking about people like, these young teams, the Pistons, veterans, man. You need vets. I don't care about who you draft. Draft picks are important. Develop guys like Terry was saying, the player development coaches like Dwayne Casey, and they got Beeline over there doing that. But you need some straight up vets in the building, man. And it's not necessarily the vets that get on the floor. It's them teaching you about culture, teaching you about winning, teach you to respect the game, teach you certain things. And I just think that, man, Steven Jackson, I said it a while ago, man, that vets are they don't want the vets around. I think, I'm looking at what Brett said. The words are a problem, man. And then one thing I want to say, too, and I might get a lot of response to Orlando, is that the jury is out for me on, yes, I'll say it on Ja Morant. What do you mean? I like the brother. And what makes me lean over and say I'm still riding with Ja Morant is his dad. I love his dad, T. Morant. I just love his dad. His dad is authentic. He done did his thing. But Ja talk a lot of trash. have checked the box yet. That's all I'm saying. He was
That's
talking
just
about,
motivation, Lindsay. That's just
motivation.
motivation.
It's the motivation. I don't know.
Motivated.
Yeah.
Say
again.
He's just keeping himself motivated.
Yeah. Well, okay, but we gonna see. Like, for example, you got to get it, man. We gonna see what's gonna happen. So my question is, and William Barber says, facts. The words of my favorite vets are young core that can play. Kenny Austin, I got a question for you. In 1 second, Orlando. I love you guys are hitting me up really good with these comments. Steph Curry's a generational player that's changed the game. Thoughts on him? Oh, yeah. What Kenny say? Ja Morant ain't did nothing yet. I agree, Lynn. Thank you, Kenny. Kenny's my new favorite.
It's that being lowly recruited, rising up with that chip on your shoulder, man. That's we love it. Look, he in a blue-collar city. If that's a perfect player for that city. That grit and grind.
I don't disagree. William Barber, he said he backs it up, Fred. Okay. Here come my boy Brett. See, if y'all knew Brett, y'all would know what this comment
the whole squad.
Because I can see me and Brett at the YMCA. He'd be like, Brett would get the ball and be in front. He said, man, they whole squad talk too much.
Hey.
Latasha says, Josh, fine. Now, Latasha, are you saying that from a basketball standpoint or the way he got his hair braided? Tasha, what you talking about? Ja Morant dad think he a star. I know he got that going on too. Brett say for sure. Here's my question though. Where I love the fact that he, wasn't even the first round pick. Nobody was checking for him. But when he made that comment about Jordan, talking about I give Jordan benefit, I look at it was disrespectful. It wasn't to say that you can't think of yourself as being the best. But come on, hey, but how you gonna say this if you don't have that? You went down in the playoffs. For whatever reason, the knee bump, whatever, you went down. Yeah. But until you carry these guys, so my question to you, Orlando, along with everything, is all that. Would you say basketball? The boy is a baby. The boy is a baby.
It's the new generation.
I just checked. So my question, Orlando, is this: for Ja Morant's trash talk to be validated, what do they have to accomplish this season?
It's a good question.
Because the semis ain't gonna do it.
No,
you talking too much. No. You gotta go to the finals.
And that's about as far as they're gonna go this season if they have a solid season. So
can you see them in the finals?
No.
No.
I think for him to justify the trash talk is that he's gonna have to be consistent.
Yep.
Throughout the season, just be consistent.
Yeah.
No. I'm good for a month and then I'm down for the next 2 months.
Right. So
you got to be consistent.
So to Brett's point, they got to beat the Clippers. They got to go have to beat like Phoenix. Because even if they in the finals with the Warriors, I'm just throwing it out
They
there.
have to beat somebody.
Because even if they in the finals with the Warriors, I'm just throwing it out there.
They have to beat somebody.
Huh?
They got to beat somebody. They got to beat the Timberwolves, Pelicans, Mavericks,
Yeah.
like teams around their tier.
Yeah, what has Ja won yet? Morant don't got any NBA accolades yet. Expect for All-Star game. Yeah, and you can't do it. And again, I'm not hating. I'm all about being. I'm just calling out Clippers out of team. Maybe they can dethrone the Warriors healthy. Okay, we'll see. But I don't. The Clippers.
It's also a new generation thing. Like, you got Ant Edwards talk the same way. Ja talks that way. Zion, the only one with that state, doesn't really talk like that. But it's just a new generation thing. We feel like we can conquer the world.
I think.
What? Here's what I want to say about the Clippers. The Clippers and Memphis are the same team. Difference is the Clippers don't talk trash. They're the same team. As far as what they gonna do and what the expectation is. So we gonna see.
Lindsay.
Yes.
At this stage of the game, it's an evolution of the NBA. You have got to admit that trash talk is part of the package right now.
Yeah.
If you didn't have trash talk,
I don't disagree.
In the NBA.
But it's not supposed to be that trash talk to make you do like this. What?
Yeah, let's get the viewers coming.
Supposed to be like, oh, okay, but they supposed to be like, hey man, I'm just saying we got a whole season to watch this, until our listeners.
Let me say this before we go on to that next topic.
No, I'll stay with it.
Give Casey the chance.
Give who the chance?
Casey.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think they've already decided they're going to double down on him. He has that because he's gotten past that.
I think the Pistons would be going really the wrong direction by thinking to go any other direction, but then with staying with him. Terry was right. He's an excellent developmental coach. He's got Coach Beeline down there helping him. He's put together a good staff. That man gets them right to the brink, and whenever he gets them to the brink, they snatch him and throw somebody else in there. Give that man a chance.
My question to Bill is are you referring to Memphis? You said put another all-star player with them, like the other stars. So that's my question. My mama then chimed in. Mama said Ja go mess around and get a call from NJ. He needs to chill to play. Hey, I'm just saying. Brett says Casey on year 3. Yeah, we got to see. It's only year 3. I thought it was more than that. Hoop Scoop says, man, I know it's a little off, but Denzel Valentine got cut by the Celtics, Gabe Brown by the Raptors, Marcus Bigman by Dallas. Why do MS players struggle to get on NBA rosters? Sorry, a little off topic. I don't think that's off topic, and we can bring that in. Hold on for 1 second. I'm going to come back to that in a second, Hoops. Bill says yes. Brett says the young assistant who's in the ear is more in tune with the Pistons. Young assistants do make, a lot of connections, but they don't have to carry the weight of calling the timeouts and be the one at the podium at the end of the press conference.
Right.
Y'all thoughts on Poole and Green messing on the court? Yep, we're going to talk about that in 1 second with the young squad. But I do want to go back to Hoop Scoop before we transition. I may have said it on the show before, man. Shout out to Coach OG, who's retired since, but he would talk to me, man. He would say, man, these GMs will call Michigan State on draft night. And they will call about players that didn't even play at Michigan State, but may have been recruited by them to get their take. Why do these guys like Denzel, I think, may not represent totally the Michigan State brand, but I think Gabe's going to find a home because Gabe has something that the NBA loves. He's a shooter. Bingham's going to find a home because he's a 7-footer. So those intangibles you can't do anything with. Denzel may be a different story. It may not have just came the way he needed. He's a tweener, and it just may be one of those challenges. But you see, our guy who's still getting chips, who's a shooter, I'm drawing a blank. I know this guy. Brent Forbes is still getting chips because he has something that the NBA needs. He's a shooter. Really quickly, William Barber said because they should have went to Michigan. Go Blue. That's right. Bill's a big Michigan fan. And Denzel, I think, don't fit the NBA. He keeps getting cut. Yeah, I think it's that tweener situation because when you look at Denzel, he's a big guard. But we talk about the health aspect and the other things just may be a challenge. This is all about fit, too. I mean, technically, somebody can argue, Draymond could have been Denzel, but it's all about where he went. Yeah. You cannot underestimate where you go and where you fit in at. I want to thank everybody. There's been some great comments so far. We're going to stay with that, too. Brett say his jumper broke, too. Yeah, you got to be a shooter. And that's why Gabe may still be able to find a home. That's why Brand has continued to find a home as well as get a. And then Brand has crossed over to that illustrious, fraternity. Now he is an NBA champion. He's played for Pop. He's been under these coaching trees. So he's like, he checked so many boxes. He's going to always find a job in the NBA, I think, and who would have thought, but he had a skill that he brought. So speaking of Ron's question about these guys' message, let's talk about Poole and Green. Now, we know all the drama that happened with them, the fight. You see, he was enjoying his ring, referring to Draymond, that is. But Poole did make a statement, and this is a statement. He said he apologized. He was referring to Draymond. Poole said, call it their interaction professional. We're here to play basketball, and everybody in the locker room and on the team knows what it takes to win a championship, and we're going to do that on the court. Poole says the two will handle themselves in a professional manner moving forward, adding, we're here to win championships and keep hanging banners. So in other words, Poole said, I ain't going to be blazing Draymond like that because Draymond play too much, and Draymond bring it. So it's going to be more like this relationship right here. But my thing is, Terry, what else could Poole say? I mean, he caught the end of something that was tragic. He's taking the high road. He got the bag.
Yeah.
What else do you need to say without him being? And then, if I remember correctly, when they had the ring ceremony, it was less applause for Draymond. If I saw it right, maybe I read it wrong, but I don't think everybody was on top when it came to that. What did he say? Spoken like a true Michigan man, no doubt. Ron also goes on to say, I think the media trying to make it worse. They did their handshakes together and hugging, but media want more, I guess. Well, speaking on behalf of the media, they're going to always want that story. I mean, that's going to always be a post-game conversation or something else to go with, But just as the media wants it, we pick it up too. Orlando, what's your take on them, Poole and Green, quote-unquote, coming back together?
It was inevitable. They saw the writing on the wall. You can say what you want to say, but at the end of the day, don't mess up that paycheck.
Hey, Brett Brown, this 7 Mile all day. That's my dude. He said, nah, he punched him in the face. Hey, Brett, what'd you say? I ain't letting nothing ride.
But Lindsay, you got to, I've been coaching a long time. I know it's just girls, high school or whatever. And I've done a few AAU teams. It's always good to have that one player that's going to keep order. You may not do it in the proper fashion, but if you can keep everybody straight and keep their mind straight, and sometimes what it takes is that altercation to get that ship headed in the right way.
I'll repeat, Brett said that's a problem. I'll repeat what Kevin Garnett said. This is to your point. Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce sat down on somebody's platform, and they was like, look, man, there's always this is that subculture part of the NBA that we all don't really know about. Terry, he said there's always an issue after you win a championship with the second squad getting their head real big. Want to come back, they want to get paid. They talk crap. They said that you got to always say the sort of problem he had with Draymond is that he shouldn't have did it out there. He should have pulled him into a small room and addressed it. So it's interesting to know that's part of the culture. Brett says they had to give him 140 though to calm him down. Yeah, they did. And for them to look like a professional organization too. Deion Huspe said they won't be buddy, but they can work as team. And yeah, that's right. The big question is Green's last season. Poole and Wiggins got the extension. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Green to get picked up because to Orlando's point, he's somebody they want. Terry, what do you think about this whole Poole Green piece?
I think I wanted to point out that Poole kept saying on the court, and I feel like he was emphasizing that this isn't something that will be solved overnight, but they all want to win, and that's what makes I think that's what helps ease the pain a little bit in that situation, because winning solves everything. So if you're winning the games, it'd be different if this was like a situation in LA or in the Lakers LA. If they LeBron or some fighting or whatever, Westbrook punch AD, like that's different. You're losing. So I think winning ultimately solves everything. They won't be. They won't be buddy. They won't be hanging out really unless it's a team thing. Unless it's, they all have like team dinner or whatever they do. Maybe in the coming months that they do become a little closer, because I do know that, friends do fight, and it may be something that can be solved by talking and just being around each other in a positive way. Ultimately you got Steph Curry, a guy that's well respected, Klay Thompson, team guy, well respected. I think a lot of people are trying to make this a whole like contract fiasco, but I just don't think that this all had to do with contracts while they were arguing. I think it's just the general nature of training camp. We see that in football season. where teammates are fighting. NFL, NBA training camp is no different. Yeah, the NFL is a lot more gruesome, but I mean, you're around the same guys beating up on each other all day. I mean, you're bound to say something, and you may catch that teammate on the wrong day. So Draymond, surely about his word and went and handled his business. So it happens in camp, but I do feel like this is something that is just kind of being blown up. I mean, it's training camp. So I think people just got to realize that, stuff like this happens. They're a championship team. People are going to be around them. They're winning. Winning solves everything. That's a formula to solve any kind of drama that's going on.
Yeah, definitely did. William Barber says Draymond will be coming home next year. He said, welcome home, Draymond. It's over after Golden State after the season. He'll be here next year. We'll gladly take him. Poole coming with the comedy. She says, I got a question. I'm being funny. If Jordan Poole get into a scuffle or talking shit with the players, they're going to be like, shut up, man, before I Draymond Green your ass. Oh, yeah, that's going to be forever. I mean, just wait till they go on the road. Just wait till they go on the road and the signs they be holding up and what they're going to say. We're going to see a lot of clear stuff. Mom Duke say that wasn't no fight. It was a sucker punch. Mom don't appreciate that. Don't appreciate it at all. Guys, with that being said, we're going to keep things moving. I want to thank everybody for the comments and chiming in, man. It's really making a very fulfilling discussion going forward. So now I want to talk about something, not just for the hype of it, but for the business of it too. EJ, Kenny, Shaq, and Chuck signed long-term contract extensions. Although they say that they haven't disclosed the amount, it's said that Chuck's extension deal was between $100 to $200 million for 10 years. Now, Brett, shout out Miles. Yeah, Brett, appreciate you. So here's the thing. The reason why I think this is noteworthy is TNT's deal with Warner Brothers Distributing, who are the ones who are putting the deal together. That deal is up in the 24-25 season. So having this long-term deal is really going to ensure that they'll stay going forward, because you're not going to sign this long-term deal with these guys for 10 years and then cut this thing off in 2 years. So I think it's bigger to see the power play. But the one thing that really caught my eye about this, guys, it's almost like we are now committing to the basketball ideology to a degree of Chuck, Kenny, EJ, and Shaq for pretty much the next decade of NBA basketball. Meaning it's going to be their thoughts, it's going to be their views that's really going to dominate. And it's also going to really be what's going to lead to whatever the counterculture may be. Because what Shaq, for example, I think when on opening night when who's that guy? Oh man, I'm drawing a blank with Boston. I'm drawing a blank on this star. Who's Boston's guy, Terry? Tatum. Jason Tatum was coming down. He was pushing down the court. And instead of him making an easy pass for a layup, he drove and dunked it. And all you heard was them saying, man, pass the ball, pass the ball. So my point
is, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
You're going to continue to hear, we're kind of locked into hearing their ideology. And psychologically, I think it's going to permeate to us because their view is going to probably become the dominant view in basketball for a while. Is there something wrong with that? Not necessarily, but I think it's worthwhile to know. Poole came on and she said, Chuck got that bag, but Chuck said he probably won't be in TT for the full 10. No, I think that's Chuck's leverage point. I disagree with that, Poole. You know why? Because they said part of him getting this deal because he came out last summer and said, this might be my last year. I got to go. So Chuck just trying to lock in. Orlando, what's your thoughts on this long-term situation with TNT doing a 10-year deal with the guys?
I think it was a smart move on TNT. Lock up what's good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're getting the ratings. They're getting the viewings. Lock it in.
Lock it in and get it. So does that mean we won't see Draymond Green retiring in 3 to 5 years and taking Chuck's spot?
You know what? The way that things are going right now, especially in media, there are so many shows. I mean, perfect example is Fox with their NFL coverage. They've got layer upon layer upon layer of commentators. So they're going to find that next generation of commentators, they'll scoop them up, find a forum for them to put everything together to get that experience, but they won't be the main show until after that 10 years. I mean, right now let's be serious. There's going to be an NBA show probably streaming live on Facebook, streaming on Instagram, streaming on YouTube, and it's all
Prime.
the different commentators.
Yeah. So maybe this is for the group that still watches NBA on TV and not watch it on their device.
Right. If you want to hit that younger market, let's be serious. Terry, how often do you actually sit and watch network television?
It got to be streamed. I'm on YouTube TV.
You see what I'm saying? So the younger folks don't watch live television anymore. Really, they catching replays. And when he does see them, he's catching clips and highlights. And if it is anything live, it's going to be streamed live. So it's just the evolution of media.
Yeah, it's that.
Yeah.
So what's your take going forward? Eric Blue Man Johnson said, Inside the NBA is the best show in sports. I wouldn't put Green on with Kenny, Shaq, and Charles. That's funny. And Will Barber says that's the fifth member right there. And Chuck got that. So what's your take?
I think so too, because I feel like right now people are intrigued with the whole Shaq versus Chuck, and then Kenny gets in the mix. And then Ernie's a perfect mediator to all of that. Like, he kind of handles all. If he goes out of hand, he knows how to bring it home and kind of keep them going in the right direction. I think it's a great mix of guys. I don't think Draymond will mess any of that up, the chemistry up. I feel like it would add to it because he has a unique perspective. And so I think right now, if I do watch it, I think Thursday is probably when I would watch the network stuff because all the games are really on TNT. Like that's really it. So it's just those two games, which I think makes them have the competitive advantage with that because with them having the only games on one day, we have to watch them. And so for them to be able to keep the views up, not only because we have to watch those games and watch them, they also keep it entertained to be able to keep this going on one network. So it just shows, that they're going to lock in their guys. I saw with Fox too, like, Greg Olson is on the 425 slot for the football games there. They're locking in some of these younger guys because they know that if anything were to a sudden change needed to happen, like say Chuck's out, God forbid, health issues. They're getting older. So they'll be able to plug somebody in that they feel comfortable with. So it's interesting to see what they'll do in the coming years. I do know that Chuck is kind of trying to play the leverage where he might leave, he might stay. But it's interesting to see what TNT does in the long-term deal, because if guys step away for whatever reason, that's still a slot that they'll have to make, and guys will have to be in there. So it'll be interesting to see how they continue to cater, but they got the competitive advantage just by having those two games only being played. They're not competing with League Pass. They're not competing with ESPN. They're not competing with any of those networks. It's just them on Thursday and Tuesday night.
Yeah, and it's almost like the show will never change. They'll just put some new players in there. Mom said as long as Kenny keep running the screen, everybody love it. That's entertainment for everybody. Yeah, we go see. Our guy Orlando has to get out. Orlando has a meeting he has to get to. For those who just joined us, I want to again acknowledge Orlando as AAU has acknowledged him. He's received a Life Member Alumni Award with all the rights and privileges and obligations. So Orlando, thank you. Not just what you do for our platform, what you do in Detroit for the young men and young women in the athletic community, but on a national scale, man. So we appreciate you. We salute you. With that being said, we know you got to take off, so we appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. See you guys. So Terry, it's just you and I, but Terry cool with that because he's getting ready to talk about some college football, right? Shout out to my guy, Brett, again. It's an excellent convo, brother. That's because you was part of it, brother. We appreciate that. Latasha Prince says, congratulations to you. Isn't his pops a legend? Mike Supe, you are absolutely right. His pops is a legend. That's right. Well known in the AAU world for what he's been doing. And again, my mom said congratulations to Orlando. We're very fortunate to be able to have him as well. So Terry, with that, man, we're going to transition, and the transition couldn't be better. We're going to talk a little football, but let's talk about this big game that's getting ready to happen Saturday down in A Square, Michigan versus Michigan State. Shout out to my guy, Demetrius Blackshear, one of my best friends growing up. Meathead. He said he always would tell me, it don't matter what happened in the regular season in basketball, it's all about the playoffs. And he also tells me he's a big Michigan fan, but he hates this game. He hates this game despite Michigan State's record. He said, I don't care what their record is. I don't care that Michigan is 7-0. This is a rivalry game. When it's a rivalry game, it doesn't matter. And Mel Tucker is successful at 2-0 in these rivalry games with them. So that being said, this for you. So Terry, be honest. Go blue. Terry, what is your take? And tell me why you feel the way you do for this Saturday big game. It's going to be the first time, wait a minute. It's the second time they played with the lights on since, the games began, like back in the 1800s. So this night game is huge. I remember the last time they had a night game, I think it was like Notre Dame or something like that. Brett, not this year. No upset this year, Brett, is what you're saying. No Michigan State upset. Bill Barber said, I agree with that.
So they
Terry,
do.
Tell me what you're thinking about this Michigan State game and why.
So they do have a week off though. So they don't play. Michigan or Michigan State doesn't play this weekend. They play
That's why they play next weekend. My bad. My bad. 28th. My bad.
I mean, having a bye week to prepare. I mean, I guess you could say Michigan State has a week to prepare, but hate to say it, Michigan does as well. So you're not getting any extra film in. They're doing the same prep as well. But I feel like right now, Michigan State, nothing to lose. I mean, for them to come in, on the road, I just feel like their running game isn't going to be enough to keep Michigan off balance the way that they need to get that passing game going. I was there for the Wisconsin game. Just a lot of mental errors happening. Defense didn't capitalize on plays that I wanted to. It's just a very average team down there at East Lansing. But Michigan, a great game. Penn State, man, I just feel like they got out-coached last weekend. I mean, there's no way you're up by 3 at halftime and you end up getting blown out of the water in the half. Like, there were just no adjustments being made. I don't feel like Penn State's that good. If you look at who they played and who they've struggled with, it kind of leaves a lot of concerns for me. It had concerns for me coming into that game. So Michigan and Ohio State is really the game. But I feel like if MSU were to, they got to capitalize on plays. And I'm not saying that they have I feel like right now Michigan is going to win that game next weekend. But if MSU were to, the keys for them, they got to try and establish that running game. I feel like right now they're running on obvious run situations. They're throwing on obvious throw situations. That's not a formula of football against an aggressive defense like Michigan. They got to be able to keep Michigan off balance. They got to be able to throw plays in. Jaden Reed is a fantastic player. I try to miss fabulous.
Fantabulous.
He's that good. But I just feel like Michigan will have the best player on that day, and it's Blake Corum. I think Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, I got to be honest, they're probably one of the best duos. I don't think they're better than Henderson and Mayan Williams. We'll talk about that on Thanksgiving weekend. But I don't think they're better than them. But they have a great tandem between them two. And I'm glad Mr. Brown brought up this point. Thorne, you have to be able to throw the ball against this defense. Michigan will throw a lot of things at you. They might play a little man. They might run a little zone. So I feel like right now, Thorne has to be able to throw his receivers open. You're not going to be able to just rely on Jaden Reed catching over whoever's guarding him the way he did the past weekend. He's going to have DJ Turner on him, an aggressive guy, plays handsy with them. There's not going to be much breathing room. But are you going to be able to make those tight throws to be able to move the chains? I'm not really sure. I have a lot of concerns. And it's funny, coming into the year, we had more concerns about Michigan than Michigan State. I'll be honest, that is completely turned. I have a lot of concerns for Michigan State, starting on defense. McCarthy struggles with the deep ball, but he does all the right things to manage the game and to help his team be in the right position to win the ball game. So with that being said, I feel like Michigan does have the advantage.
And they also have home field advantage too.
Home field advantage. I'm hearing it's going to be a blowout. I hear it's going to be a blowout, so that'd be really cool to see that. But I got to give the advantage to Michigan. I will be cheering for Sparty, but I just can't go and be able to say that Michigan will lose this football game just because of the concerns. Now, if they do, it will be because that Michigan State has played at that elite level that day, even though I still think they won't because they're an average football team.
Yeah. Bill Barber said that makes State season. It's all they ever play for. A little brother need this. I hope Corum shows out. if Michigan D comes to play, it would be a rout. Yeah, and then also it works to the advantage that they're playing in the big house, man. Say what you want, home field advantage does play a role, especially in a game like this. But we're waiting to see you. Right, the game is on 10/29, so that is next Saturday, not this coming one. I'm getting my dates mixed, but SPS will be in the building with River Rouge. It's going to be a Panther party on 10/28.
And one more thing too.
Please.
I forgot to add. Michigan feels like that game was theirs last year. I got to bring up that point. Ain't no K9, baby. This is straight. No K9 to bail us out this time. So now
no doubt.
Hey,
You're right
Michigan
about that.
Feels like they should have won that football game. I'm sure that's being talked about all week and next week. It's just lingering in their head about that sour taste that they gave up last year.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a second. The NFL segment. Also, too, hold on for a second. William said the Zebras helped him out last year. Terry McCord Sr., he said Halloween weekend, MSU going to upset him. We're going to see. We're going to see. So with that, we want to talk a little bit more broader about college football. Terry, what you got for us, man, overall for a college football update? We haven't had a chance to give you that because you're so well at it when you do it. But what do you want to share with us as far as college football update overall, along with the Michigan State-Michigan game?
Well, I got to talk about the hottest team on the planet right now, the Tennessee Volunteers. I mean, Hendon Hooker is balling. I mean, the guy to put up a game like that against Bama, I mean, it is impressive. But don't count Bama out yet. Bama has an opportunity to play the winner of that division, right? So Tennessee, they're cheering, they're getting all their hits out on Bama now, talking about Bama. But Tennessee, if they beat Georgia, will end up maybe playing Alabama again in the SEC championship game. I don't know.
What do you think the outcome would be then?
I don't think Alabama loses twice, in my opinion. I don't think Alabama loses twice. But granted, it's not a guarantee either. They have to beat Georgia. If Georgia remains undefeated, which makes this division really interesting now in the SEC East, because the SEC East has always been clear-cut. Georgia, Florida, they had that one year where Missouri made it in like 2014. But, I mean, it's always been Georgia, Florida, whoever got the best shot at Bama that year. But Tennessee might not get that chance if they fall short to Georgia. I mean, the way that division is looking, I can't really say that Georgia, if they beat Tennessee, will fall to one of the other teams like a Vandy, or they already beat up on Vandy. I don't see them falling to like Georgia, to Florida or Kentucky. I don't see that. I see Georgia, the winner of that game, which is not this Saturday. I believe it's November 5th. I had to check it out before the show because I was like, man, when do they play? But also right now, Alabama is second right now. Ole Miss is in the lead in the SEC West. So, hey, maybe Ole Miss, they beat Alabama, which I don't think will happen. Saban is just too good against his former assistants. I just feel like Bama will get another shot at Tennessee if they make it. So Rocky Top maybe feeling all high right now. But, hey, this SEC season and the schedule ahead of you is still a lot of work to be done. But I do think if they beat Georgia, they're put in a great position to make their first ever college football appearance, playoff appearance. And also,
you referring to Tennessee?
Tennessee, yeah. If Tennessee beats Georgia and say they lose to Bama, I think it's another Georgia scenario where they're number one and then they drop down to number 3 if they lose to Bama in the SEC championship game, just like Georgia, and Georgia ended up winning it all. But Tennessee, Hendon Hooker, Heisman frontrunner right now. C.J. Stroud, Heisman frontrunner as well. But keep an eye on that guy from Illinois, Chase Brown. I mean, granted, the brother is getting 41 carries a game. I've been looking at last game. He had 41 carries, about 30 carries. Like, they're just giving him the ball. Brett Bielema is doing his old Melvin Gordon situation where he's just giving him the ball. The old Wisconsin way. So, I mean, right now, man, college football is where we want it to be. A lot of big games, loaded weekends. I mean, we got UCLA versus Oregon, a little 9-10 action. Will Dorian Thompson-Robinson be able to pull through and try and get UCLA a little bit closer? I just don't think that their strength of schedule is going to be good enough to win. But that Utah and USC game kept me up past 1 a.m. I could not go to bed without seeing the end of that game. And Rising is just a baller. He's a baller. I mean, their quarterback over there at Utah had USC on their ropes all night. I mean, it just the way that Lincoln Riley, I mean, his offense is always going to make it, always going to show up. But just the way that Utah, they went for two. I mean, Cam Rising to go for two and to run it in there and score, that game couldn't have that. That's one of the best games this year, along with, I think, Michigan State and Wisconsin coming in there. So just a ton of great football being played. I mean, a lot of games, as I mentioned, the Tennessee, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, a lot of big games to come up, Ohio State, Penn State, a lot of big games to look to as the top 25 matchups come together. But I think we know who the best teams are, and I think it's only going to be more solidified as the season goes on.
Okay, I got a question for you with all that great breakdown. Who's going to win the national championship? And you can't say Ohio State. You can, but I'm just saying I had to make you pause on that.
I think Ohio State. I think we have a chance to make it. I think that I would like us to be the number one team, because it means that we will have to play. If we're number two, it means we'll probably have to play the loser of the SEC championship game, a lot like Michigan did last year. They played a team that came off a tough loss and they got blew out. So, I mean, I would like us to be one, but I feel like other than Ohio State, I think Alabama's got to be in that conversation. Georgia's got to be in that convo. Tennessee. I mean, we can't count Bama out. I mean, we've seen this. Bryce Young is too good. I mean, he balled out as well. He just came up on the short end of the stick because of a missed field goal and a special team incident that Alabama had. So I just feel like you got to count those teams in there. I think Tennessee is in there, but I just feel like right now we gotta be able to see how that Georgia and Tennessee game ends up being to really count Tennessee as a contender, because you beat Bama, okay, but you beat Bama in those trap games where you're at home and you circled this one since the summer and you got everybody up for this game. But can you beat Georgia? Then I feel like you're in there as one of the favorites to win the title.
Yeah, we got to give clarity, Bill Barber. I think if you said, what does he mean, we? If he was referring to Ohio State, Terry is Ohio State.
I mean, I got the backpack, man. I feel like, hey, if they lose and I'm feeling in my heart, it's we. That's all I got to say. It's we.
Oh, no, Bill, all day. Terry is officially a Buckeye through and through, this Columbus roots. No doubt. I mean, that's how we get down here. So I have to preface it sometime. But he does a good job with trying to let that bias go away.
I gave Forum and Edwards some props. I even had Michigan in there. I mean, come on. I'm pretty objective over here. I keep it in the middle.
Best he can. Coach Ware said, yeah, it was official before this. Terry. Hey, Bill don't want to hear it. He say, stop it. I know how Bill is when he get fed up. He's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. That's what it is. Also, too, before we get to the next part, it's kind of transitioning to the football. DeAndre Hopkins making season debut tonight versus Saints. Should the Chiefs be on upset alert? Which 3T team is the most dangerous? Very good questions, Eric. I'll defer to the man of the hour when we talk about these upsets, particularly these weekly NFL upsets. We could talk about that right now, Terry. You want to take on Eric's question and give me your thoughts on the weekly NFL upsets and what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like right now, DeAndre Hopkins coming in couldn't have come at a better time. I mean, losing Hollywood Brown, losing one of your top guys that was on pace to have a great statistical year. Him coming back, getting Robbie Anderson on a trade. Robbie Anderson came in a unique way of being traded, being kicked off the sidelines, and then being traded the next day. I think he has a lot in the tank still. I mean, a speedy guy, able to get open, be available for K1. I feel like DeAndre Hopkins, his presence is going to be felt. One of the best receivers in the league, in my opinion. Guy that just catches everything thrown his way. I do expect him to make his presence felt early. But as far as the Chiefs, I think that's a game that needs to be watched, because the way that the 49ers play is definitely what the Chiefs don't like facing. It's like the great defensive teams lean on their defense, run the ball well, kind of control the clock. Very physical approach to the football game. Chiefs don't really favor that matchup. I mean, they're not the ones that said that they don't do well in it, because they've overcame that from the early New England days when Pat Mahomes was losing in the AFC Championship game. They found a way to continue to bring the game at their pace, but definitely something to watch for. I mean, the 49ers are probably one of the best defensive units in the league, along with the Eagles. So I think that they're up there, but I can't necessarily say it's an upset alert, but it's something to definitely keep an eye on just by the way that they play defense. I think if Nick Bosa can get to the line, get to Mahomes, their secondary can continue to be physical. And if they're running the ball well against the Chiefs, I think they have a great opportunity to win and kind of conserve that clock and put them in the best position to win. Just Jimmy G can't make any bad decisions. As long as he keeps the game in front of him, manage the game well, they'll be fine. But I just think that Mahomes, I think he's just too good. But I got to bring up one more point about Mahomes itself. I can't remember I think it might have been RG3, but he brought up a point how this year Mahomes has been really efficient because Tyreek's gone. He no longer has that pressure, has that, he feels like he's pressured to throw the ball to Tyreek Hill and force it his way. Throw the deep ball, throw it in coverage because it's Tyreek Hill. Now that he has not really a clear number one receiver. I mean, Juju a little bit. I wouldn't classify Juju as a true number one, but now that you have these receivers that are all really good number two receivers, he's having to make better decisions, and also leaning on that tight end who's usually Kelsey, who's running routes that usually are put in the best position for them to succeed. So I just feel like Mahomes is going to make the right decisions now that he has to actually break down the defenses, which he's shown this year that he doesn't need Tyreek Hill to have great stats this year.
Yeah, Brett Brown says, right, Kelsey is main guy. Let me ask you a question, Terry. Are you a believer in the Eagles?
I think last Sunday, the way they beat the Cowboys, it shows that, man, the Eagles are a lot like how the Rams were last year and a little bit of the 49ers. They want to play great defense. They want to run the ball. Their offense is just so explosive. And Jalen Hurts, the only question mark I had coming in, can he deliver the ball and get his guys open? I mean, clearly has the receivers. I mean, Quez Watkins, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders in the backfield. Guy has a game will as well in the backfield. Goddard. I mean, need I say more? I mean, the guy has the weapons. But I mean, the thing that makes their offense so dynamic, I feel like they have to account for Jalen Hurts running the football. I mean, Jalen Hurts is a running back. And I don't say that to disrespect his game because he can throw the ball. We've seen him put it on the money. I say he's a running back because once he crosses the line of scrimmage, he's looking to score the ball. I mean, you just don't – it's hard to account for a guy like that who can just score when he runs the ball. Like, yeah, guys, QB scramble, they get extra yards. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts, to me, are the only quarterbacks, maybe Kyler Murray as well, are really the only quarterbacks I feel like, and I might be missing some, but those four are really the only guys who I feel like can just turn a game around with a run and really just score and have it be like a huge momentum shift and be able to run the ball well. So I feel like, man, I'm a believer in the Eagles. I think that they'll be a top-seeded team, one or two. They just got to stay healthy. And I mean, if A.J. Brown shows why you give a young quarterback a number one option receiver and help him develop. You got to give a guy weapons. And I'm talking to Chicago. I'm talking to all those teams. Justin Fields, you got to give a guy weapons. I mean, you can't go out there with a Swiss Army knife. You got to give him some weapons. You got to give him some AKs, some bazookas, give him some big shot, get him some weapons so then he can see what he can do. And then you make your evaluation off that.
Let me ask you this. Who do you see in the AFC and NFC championships? Is it too early to say?
I think NFC is too early just because we've seen a lot of drop-off. But keep an eye on those Jets. I mean, I feel like right now the Jets, man, are really making noise. The Giants are making noise. I don't think they get too far than the next round other than the wild card round if they get that far. But I feel like Chiefs, Bills are my favorites right now in the AFC Championship game. I feel like on the other side, I gotta say the Eagles and maybe the Vikings, man. As long as Kurt continues to put them in the best position with making, non-risky plays and keeping the turnovers to a minimum, I feel like they have the best shot as well because their defense is balling and Justin Jefferson and their offense is catered to score a lot of points, but to conserve clock and to move the chains. So I feel like they're right now in one of my favorites, but the NFC just too early. The Rams are sliding down. Packers are not looking good at all. It's just a lot of question marks right now in that division where I'm not really sure I want to say that they're my favorites.
You need a few more weeks.
But need a few more weeks.
Okay, we'll go check in with that. Well, with that being said, man, you've done a great job of keeping us up to speed. I want to thank everybody who stopped in today, man, from childhood friends like Brett Brown to the big bros like William Barber and others. Then we got the Eric Johnsons, we got the Ron Rons of the world, and shout out to Hoops Page as well as Latasha, Terry McCord. I don't know if we put your comment up, Terry McCord. See, he said Halloween weekend. She's gonna get upset. We go upset him. We see what's going on with that. But a lot of great people. Coach Ware stopping in. Of course, my mom's Pooh making a stop in. And again, if I forgot anybody, it's nothing like that. But Kenny, we appreciate your new comments to the platform as well. Yep. And Brett said, your pleasure. You guys are always welcome here. With that being said, this is Lindsey Hudson with SBS on behalf of Orlando Watkins, who's down there in Orlando doing this thing, and my guy, Terry McCord Jr. We're going to say peace, and we're going to see you guys next week. Thanks a lot, guys. Peace.